Warning. What you're about to hear might offend your inner macho man. If you think real men don't talk about mental health, this show isn't for you. For everybody else, welcome home.
Welcome back to the Jones Effect. I'm the host, Erick Jones, and this podcast is all about creating a safe space for men, where we're going to take the time to talk about struggles, lessons, and victories that come along with being husbands, fathers, friends, and professionals. Today, my guest is somebody special as well. He's a father, an entrepreneur, a great man, a great friend, and a great brother. With no further ado, we're going to introduce Mr. Charles Robinson. Welcome, brother.
Peace and blessings, family. Peace and blessings. First, I want to say how excited I am to be here. Thanks for having me, brother. And without further ado, I just want to say, brother, I'm so excited that you're on this mission for this time, because we've all been believing in you for a long time. So, for all the fans out there, to the Jones Effect, I was the #1 fan. You know what I'm saying? I was first on his head. No, seriously, we always knew that you had something special inside you, and this. We always knew in our circle of friends how special of an individual you were and how important you were to us. So for that, we always believed in the mission that you have. So I want y'all to stay tuned, subscribe, like, check in the Jones Effect. We're going to come and drop some jewels for y'all, man. So I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely. So, just to kind of get ready, if it's anything, I want you to share just real briefly, what was one of the greatest things that has happened to you within the last 48 hours?
Within the last 48 hours, well, really, I'm just coming back in from a business convention, InvestFest. That was absolutely amazing, where there was a meeting of minds and just black excellence, business on example, just leading the way in financial literacy and understanding where we are politically and socially as a people. And outside of that, man, coming off of that trip, just being motivated, coming back into Virginia, kicking off with you right here. I'm just super motivated. I'm excited about where we're going as a people. So in the last 48 hours, I think it's just that reemergence and reawakening of how serious the mission is and how intent it is to be steadfast and locked in.
Oh, yeah, it do sound dope.
Right.
So, just out of curiosity, just give me one lesson from that experience real quick, because it's so interesting that you did bring up that event.
Yeah, greatness is earned and worked for. It's not given, it's not extended, and you can't cheat it. So, in order to achieve the goals that we're looking for and to revolutionize the minds and the direction we're going, it has to start inward, it has to be intent, and it has to be practiced. So it's not a gift that won't be given without being earned. So greatness is something to be treasured and to be worked for. So I think that valuable lesson for me now is repeating on how important the mission is.
Yeah, man. Okay, all right, I like that. So, because today's topic mainly is about fatherhood, just out of curiosity, how do you feel like that lesson alone ties into you being a father, and how so?
I think part of that awakening is when you understand the mission, understanding the calling and the importance and the value of fatherhood. So when we internalize that as men and understand what that mission entails, I think the lessons of intent, the lessons of having a foundation to grow off of, learning the importance of where we're going as a people and what that means. I think for me to carry that crown and understand what that role and responsibility is, I think internalizing that gives me the ability to reflect and be effective in that area. Right? So we can just be dads, or we can be fathers, or we can be leaders of men. You know what I'm saying? So when we put all those roles together and really take value in that, then we have something to give to that next generation. I think that is, I, I think that is, I think that is, I think that is one of the areas as men, um, that we are underprepared for.
Fatherhood.
Fatherhood.
Absolutely.
There's two major roles in our lives as men that we are underdeveloped for, and that's fatherhood and spousehood.
Mm.
And I think that when we understand what that means, internalize it, that we have been missing a lot of those rites of passage, we don't even know when we come into manhood anymore. We don't even know what it means to be a man. And I'm going to make it twofold, and it's probably to create another conversation, but when a man doesn't understand what it means to be a man, how can a woman even understand what a man looks like?
Facts.
So there's a lot of dynamics that go into our community that's compromised because of us not understanding what those roles and responsibilities are. So,
so it's your outlook is very interesting, and I agree with it, right? And the reason why I agree with it is one of the main reasons why I created the platform. I created the platform so we can be better understood.
yeah.
And for some of us that does not have the ability to understand certain things, to kind of get tidbits from different conversations so then they can develop in that area and begin to understand themselves better. Because that's what I had to do from my personal experiences. I realized where I lacked that previously as being a man.
Right.
And I realized in those areas where I can strengthen that needed strengthening, right? And when I began to strengthen them, I became better as a man, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? And the results have shown me the same, you know what I'm saying, which coincide with what my thinking was. So I agree with the understanding that how is it possible if we don't understand how to be a man ourselves, how are the people that's in our environment, not even just our spouses, gonna be able to identify us as men?
Absolutely.
And know how to deal with us, know how to hold us, know how to support us, and then just be patient with us, because that's what I'm starting to see more of. I'm starting to see the impatience of the world when it comes to the man.
Right. So when we're having a conversation about fruit and root. Right. So I think as we awaken as men and we understand the condition that we are in as a community, as men, as we relate to those around us, our family members, the sphere of influence that we have. When we look at the condition, I think as much as we want to point out the dysfunctions that we have, right, the awakening comes from the experience. So as you live, the lessons that you live through are not so great moments, are not so glorious moments, the moments that we did not show up as well as we thought we should have, right? We internally, emotionally learn lessons in those experiences, which creates the tools that you have in your toolbox. So as we grow in that, what we become more efficient is our relatability. And not just the lessons that we learn, the losses and the wins, but the emotional development that we go through. Because it's an emotional experience that you have when you're not so great. We disappoint people, when you upset folk, right?
Absolutely.
People that believed in you, that that held you to a certain honor, and you showed up less than that. As an awakened man, you start to internalize. You go into that mirror, and you start saying, "Why am I responding not so great in these areas? Why do I not represent well in this area? Why am I having the difficulty to maintain healthy relationships?" And I start looking into the mirror, that accountability, taking those tools and lessons that we've learned through those ups and downs in life. It gives us a greater toolbox for relatability. But nobody cares what you know until they know that you care. So once we get to that relatability part, and us understanding that that's part of the mission, is not just the direction, because there's a whole lot of roles that a man got to live up to. We have to be priest, prophet, and king, right? So those are some lessons that you have to live in, and within that, we have to get vulnerable. We have to be vulnerable enough to understand what our strengths and weaknesses are, right? Hey. Because if I don't assess myself well, it compromises my ability to be usable in other efforts, right?
True.
So I got to be real about what stage I'm in, work on that character of my man, right? Because we understand that a wise man told me that a character can take you places that your talent won't take you. but your talent will take you places that your character won't keep you. So when we get that full alignment within our manhood and we understand where we are spiritually, the season that we're in, regardless of our age,
it's another level. Absolutely.
Regardless of our age, what
level.
season you're in, because then we can properly apply the measures that we need to construct the man that we're trying to be.
So, because you have so much knowledge, I know inquiring minds would like to know, if you don't mind sharing, what is something that you experienced that you felt as though, from what you learned from it, allowed you to become who you are today?
So that's a loaded question. I really believe that I had the unique experience of walking a lot of journeys. I had a very unique childhood. One of the uniqueness that I had that was unique in my community, I was one of the few guys that had a real father in the household. And I think because I had a father, it really added a very unique dynamic to my life in the way that he raised me and the principles that he raised me in. And I had a strong exposure to the streets. So within all the lessons that my dad was giving me, what a man was supposed to be, my dad was definitely a revolutionary. He was the other Black Panther that didn't make the picture. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He was definitely on the squad. So I was raised with a lot of that passion about, what a Black man is and what life is about. Oftentimes I found it difficult to reconcile that with a lot of my street ambitions, right? And from early on, I knew that I had a calling in my life. I had a unique calling to be a leader, whether it was in sports, school, the streets, whatever. And in all that I was learning and all that I was exposed to, I found myself being in a unique situation of having a lot of revolution and no GPS. So through life, a lot of learning my mistakes, coming and going, walking the unique journeys that I had to walk, added character elements and ingredients to my toolbox that produce the manner of man. So it's really hard to dive into one specific thing. The issue is that I had to learn to differentiate what society was expecting and conditioning me to be, and differentiating that on what my calling was as a man, and how that's going to make me be effective in my community. You dig what I'm saying? So for me, I had to learn how to put some Band-Aids on my wounds. I had to learn how to apologize when I was wrong, and I had to say, hey, listen, this is my mess up. This ain't nobody's mess up but my own. So in that, it created a platform and really, I want to say a momentum, which allowed me to be and grow into the man that I am now.
That's actually dope. Extremely deep, but definitely dope, because I can understand the different layers of that. And that's the part of life that is the most confusing. The most confusing, in my opinion, is not being able to understand the layers that you're actually going through, right? To understand that these lessons, these experiences are necessary. That's hard to swallow when you're young. That's hard to swallow when you going through the trials and tribulations, right? And then a lot of times, it's the misinterpretation of those layers when you do mature a little bit and your brain begin to process that information of, okay, how I feel and what should I do? You know, we kind of touched on that last episode, just the inability to be able to identify what to do because we feel. You know what I'm saying? So those layers in between is just so confusing. And I think the men, right, that are fathers, one of the main things that they could possibly do is help you understand those layers.
Right.
You know, that's one of the greatest gifts that you were given is your father being present. Mm-hmm. Your father being there, assisting you to process those layers.
Right.
So then, you know, once you become an adult, once you become much older, you can then rely on that. You lean on that. And see, when you lean on it, that means that you are now adopting a stronger strength of persistence, right. A stronger strength of leadership, mm-hmm. A stronger strength of holding families together and protecting who you love, who's right. Important in your village. You know, that's where that comes from. Mm-hmm. But for the ones that don't have that, what happens there? In your opinion, what happens to the young man that's out there that's fathers right now? I'm talking about the 15, the 16, the 17-year-old, supposed to be in high school, mm-hmm. dropped out or what have you. These guys have children. They are challenged in everyday life. In your opinion, knowing what you know, what is it that you can? What can you tell them or give them to help them understand that this is necessary and they can prevail?
So, kind of piggybacking off a point that we made earlier, the underdeveloped area or the lack of preparation that we have as men. Because of the absence of fathers, because of the conditions of our communities, because of the music that we listen to, we don't have the tools as fathers to emotionally tend to each other. So, as a young man, my father taught me everything about being strong. One of the qualities he did not polish me well, he didn't teach me how to emotionally balance myself. Mm. So when it came to my emotional articulation or to be vulnerable or to have an emotion, I was taught at a very young age that was a sign of weakness. Mm. So many of us as men, we grow up without even having an understanding of how to articulate our emotions, which leaves us technically and clinically emotionally retarded.
I'm with you.
Because we don't know how to navigate that space. So, the awakening happens when we understand that that is our condition. Mm. That these kids do not know how to emotionally regulate themselves. Mm. And the reason why they don't know how to emotionally regulate themselves, because nobody taught them how to emotionally regulate themselves. So when we awaken and understand that the emotional experience as a human is actually an experience. Mm. It's attached. It's natural.
Absolutely.
You smack me, I'm gonna get mad.
Facts.
That's a natural reaction. Right. So the thing about it is we have to regulate that, and because we don't have regulation, we have a lot of emotional responses without any governance.
Right.
Right. So when we see these young kids out here shooting each other up, we say, "Oh, they trained to go." This, that, third. Yeah. No, these are emotional kids who don't have a control of their emotions, and they're emotionally retarded. And I'm not saying that to disparage against people, but we don't have the self-control to deal with emotions. And as men, it's a foreign topic, so we have to create these podcasts and we have to create these forums so we can know how to articulate, hey, brother, I'm going through this. What do I do when I feel like this?
Right.
And we have to address this with intellect and righteous agenda. Mm-hmm. So we can raise men up and teach them that, listen, it's okay to have life experiences and emotions. The question is how is the world going to experience you when you're having these experiences?
Facts. So I look at that same thing this way as well, right? I look at it like I see the world investing in the ignorance of the growth of man. Mm-hmm. That's how I view it.
They're entertained by it.
Oh, man. They add so much extra to what a man should and shouldn't do, and not understanding that they're feeding something that isn't even productive.
Absolutely.
Right? Because, like you just said, you just described such a powerful moment. Like, how can we do something that we were not taught? But yet the world we live in, expect us to do it.
That's right.
Expect us to produce. Expect us to provide. Expect us to work. Mm-hmm. And then the wildest part of it, just imagine this, just the wildest part of that. when someone say, "Well, I didn't know," well, you should know, man.
Right.
I'm supposed to know this.
Right.
I'm just supposed to know it.
Yeah. After you have intently blinded me, you have intentionally kept me from resources that would teach me the truth. And you have intentionally taught me a falsity on social construct, right? And you're expecting us to fit into this vibration pocket that don't even fit us, right? And you're expecting something out that you never even intended for us to know. Financial literacy, how to grow spiritually, understanding where our roots come from, how history impacts our current situation, right? So we have been blocked out of those schools of thought per se.
Those areas.
Absolutely.
Blocked out of those areas that do create balance, that allow us to know how to decide and determine, that builds up confidence, you know what I'm saying, that will actually be able to defend disparity, you know, and depression and all of these anxieties and all of these things. One of the reasons, see, now I'm heated up.
Come on.
Now I'm a little upset. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because the issue is this, right? People ready to label the man and give all these diagnoses, depression, anxiety. One of the main reasons why that's even prevalent is because we wasn't given nothing to defend it. We wasn't given nothing to fight it off. All we know is the impossible way to deal with our emotions and just react. We was taught reactions. We was never taught to manage. We always were taught to do something, never taught to think something.
Right.
We wasn't taught to think through what we need to do. We was taught, do. You a man, do.
Right.
If you ain't doing, do. It's the same result, and there's nothing else in the world that I can think of that has that response.
Right.
I can say, hey, I need help. I really do need help. Like, I don't know. I do not know how to do this. How many men you know that raise their hand and say, I need help, and they actually got help without any expectation, without the pressures of, oh, you don't know this yet? Why don't you know it yet? You didn't have a father, you didn't have a family. Where are they? It gets channeled into a whole nother direction instead of just helping.
That's right.
Where's the help? Where's the help? And that's what the Jones Effect podcast is for.
Absolutely.
It's to start up some type of help.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is gonna do. I don't know how this is gonna go. But one thing I do know is that if I left this world tomorrow, I know for a fact that it is gonna be said that I attempted to give some resolve.
Absolutely.
I attempted to give some type of solution, some type of room of comfort when it comes to the man.
Absolutely.
When it comes to a father, when it comes to a husband, when it comes to a brother, a cousin, a significant other, whatever your title is. We need to make this okay. This is okay for me to tell you I was a fatherless man all my life.
Mm-hmm.
That I was a fatherless boy all my life.
Right.
That's okay. I'm fine with knowing that is what my history is.
Right.
What's not okay is if I did not find any help to get beyond what that deflected from me being able to be productive.
Absolutely. There is no revolution without solution. Right? So we can sit here and throw paint on the wall and say this was wrong with the community, you know, colonialism did us this, and you know, we don't have that. But I believe that even in this season right now, God is raising up men like yourself, creating platforms like this here, the Jones Effect, to create conversation platform to provide solution. Because we have to revolutionize our mind. We have to change the way we're thinking. We can't continue to do the same thing, think we're going to get a different result. So what we have to do is create the school of thought. So that's what we had back in the day. We had schools of thought that produced mindsets of greatness. We invested into our kids. We taught our daughters how to be wives and mothers. We taught our sons how to be husbands and fathers. We're going away from that right now. We have to change that. We have to create a new school of thought. Back, you know, when I was coming up, our mothers was telling us to stay away from the nasty girls. They ain't do nothing about how you baby. They used to tell the girls, stay away from the little nasty boys. All they do is hump on you. So coming into the game, we came into the game not even trusting each other.
Facts.
We didn't even know how to trust each other coming into the game. So we have to change our school of thought and recorrect a curriculum that's going to build up a righteous people. We have to get down to the root. We can clip fruit. This is one thing I learned about gardening. So you can cut an apple off the branch.
That's what I should have. I should have added the fact that he is a gardener. See, I forget to add that in the introduction, but don't mind me. I'm not perfect. Charges to my heart, charges to my head, and not my heart.
That's all
Go
good,
ahead.
man. There was a lot of specific lessons that the universe was teaching me through gardening, to growing my own food, seed time and harvest. It broke down the mindset that was conditioning me to want to get money quick. I was in the streets. I wanted to make it happen. To understand process, to understand compound interest, these terms that was not given to me, to understand that philosophy and understanding that all great things take time.
It's real. That's
So
real.
back to the point, if you clip that fruit off the branch, it'll go away and you won't see it. But it's just that, like that argument had with your old lady. If you don't have no resolution with it, you'll argue, and then 2 months later that argument will come back up, and 3 months later, because it's the fruit coming back. You ain't never get to the root. You can clip the fruit all you want. If you don't get to that root, that apple will come back. That conversation will come back. That dysfunction will reemerge. So again, no revolution without solution. We have to change our school of thought. We have to implement it, practice it, and be leaders of example of it. And I believe out of all the components in the earth, it starts with the black man.
I agree. I got to jump in the car with you. You know, finding the root is so important. I love that analogy, right? Finding the root, and you really do got to take the time to find the root. The root is typically in the pit of something, at the bottom of something, at the very bottom, in the depths of that very thing, and that take time.
Yeah.
Like I gave you, like I gave some of the steps last episode. You know, it take one day at a time, but the time that you're spending each day have to be intentional. You have to be intentional about finding that root, not running from that root, not running from the information that you get about you. Then you get that, and then you work with it. So I'm not a gardener, but one thing I do know, because I have been in the field a little bit. I've been in the field a little bit, right?
Come on now.
Been in the field a little bit. What I do know about a root, it take a little bit to eat it.
Yeah.
I know that.
And you got to be willing to get dirty.
You got to get dirty. You got to be filthy.
You got to get dirty down in there, get that root.
And if you ain't got the right tools, look, this is the message, right? If you don't use the right tools, it make the job harder to get. But how do you do it? Start with thinking about, what are you missing? What exactly are you feeling?
Yeah.
You know, what are some of the things that you think about when ain't nobody around?
Right.
What is the things that wake you up at night? What is the things that make you want to stay in the room in the daytime?
Right.
What are some of those things? Once you start thinking about those things and those feelings, now we just try to go to the next stage. The next stage is, okay, where did that come from? You can start with the basic. Was my mother involved? Was my father involved?
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of our inabilities come from some type of trauma usually, right? So let's think about some of the trauma. And I'm not saying dive so deep where it takes you on a roller coaster of emotions. I'm just saying to identify a moment that you know that impacted you severely, and now we get through understanding the purpose of it. And once you find the purpose of that, and you understand that you learned the lessons from it, and that created you to be whatever you are in that area, you do the exact same thing. You rinse and repeat. That's the formula to all greatness. Anybody that's great, any circumstance that became great, became that way, right? Because you identified something. Once you identified it, you learn the lesson. Now you can apply the information.
Absolutely.
That's how it go. And you just repeat that same thing that give you the positive response. You know. What is your take? How do you think? What are some of the ways that they can possibly anyone can possibly figure out what to do when they're challenged? They have these triumphs or these hurdles in their life from becoming the father that they want, or the father that they wish they had.
Right. I think getting connected with your why. Getting connected to your why. Because I think when we connect the truths and the principles that we hold here in our head and our heart, it connects the why and it empowers the action. Right? for instance, I started a new health journey. You know, I'm trying to eat better, those type of things, right? I always knew that processed meat wasn't good for you. I always knew that these type of diets, sugar and all these other things were less than productive in optimizing your body and functioning in your an anatomical makeup. It wasn't until I started seeing people die, right? It wasn't until that information that I got connected to here, and what it birthed in me was a desire to live. I didn't want to be the guy that my kids and my nieces and nephews had to take care of. So the why was, this is why you have to change the way you eat. You dig what I'm saying? The why. And as far as being a father, what legacy do I want to leave for my kids? What do I want my kids, what kind of example do I want my kids and my community to reflect from the leadership and example that I set? So for me, I am more aware of how important it is for the legacy and the name of a man to be left, and how that would be respected and honored. So for me, I want to be an example of righteousness. I want to be a provider. I want to be a king, priest, and prophet of my home. And I want to be that hero for my family, that I'm the rock that they can lean on. So that's my why. It's not a narcissist thing. It's not a thing of my ego. It's the pride of a man that I want to make sure that I have my community secure, locked, and loaded. Not just with the information that they learn, but by the example that I live, and the lifestyle and the healthiness of my spiritual walk as it represents as a man. So my intention to be key on that, to grow that, to feed that, and to be careful that I'm not distracted by the other bullshit. That's it.
Yeah, you good. You good. That's perfect.
So I don't want to be distracted by the other bullshit. So again, being tapped into that purpose and understanding what that is. And I'm gonna say also, we have to be conscious of the agenda that's against us.
Ooh.
So if we're not clear that we're in a war and that the conditions of our community is based on the assaults against us, that's again understanding the why, not clipping the fruit, getting to the root. We have to figure out why we are where we are.
Oh, it's combative.
No doubt. So when I understand that there's a war and there's an agenda towards me that's against my people and the progression of my people, and that there is a systematic agenda trying to halt the progress and the sustainability of my people, then my reaction, my why is different. My revolution is different. There's a reason why I put my drawers on and my pants on every day, and why I'm in the mirror every day trying to figure out how does Jizzle and CJ become a better individual. Because I know the weight and the calling and the importance of that mission in our community, and I know that other lives will be directly affected by this. And what I was clear of is that as sure as that I was having an experience in my life, and every day you had to make decisions if I was going to do A, B, or C, right? As sure as I was having that experience, the greatest revelation that I had to realize was that other people were experiencing me, experiencing life. And when that mattered, how people experienced me and my experience, when that weighed on my soul, then it really took a stewardship to my walk and the importance of that to another level. And I'll be alive. I tell you, I dot all my I's across all my T's. But the strive to greatness and the importance of that is on my soul even more. And I think that once we embody that as a people, once we get and get that in our souls on what that means, I think that we can be better reflections of men. And
Absolutely. I think you touched on the main part that that fathers can absolutely relate to. You know, how to understand what we are against.
We have to start being excited about these roles, right? If somebody was to ask me what was the greatest thing about, my being a father, and I'm gonna say, it's how excited I am to give them what has been given to me. You know, the difference between me being a young father and an older father is that a young father, I just had a lot of GPS, revolutionary. But now I got so much to give. I got so much to offer. You know what I'm saying? And the passion in which I want to deposit into my kids and to prepare them for the world. You know, my intention is to create exceptional human beings. You know what I'm saying? My intention is to deposit as much greatness in these kids to give them a chance to win, give them a chance to be of impact on earth. So I'm trying to create impactful human beings right now to teach them moral codes and characteristic traits that's going to lead them to greatness now. But that comes from the passion of fatherhood. It comes from the passion of of wanting to raise sons and daughters that will be exemplary in the community. You know what I'm saying? That's intention. That's me understanding of how important this grooming stage is to deposit greatness, to separate the wheat from the chaff. Because if we don't do it now, that's what's going to happen. We're sending our kids to the slaughterhouse. Yeah.
I'm locked in. My best insertion as a father, truly for me, is when I can identify that my children can comprehend what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. I feel as though I am such an important piece to my children when they are able to receive what I give them, process it.
Yeah. Because
now I can insert all of this information that I have.
Right.
I can build them and give them a lot of the tools that I know I wish I had. You know, so they can go out here and fight.
Yeah.
Because they don't understand the battles that they up against realistically. Right. The world seems like either a video game or cartoon or some Disney sitcom almost. Mm-hmm. You know, without knowing that they're about to be a fight in their life.
You know what that does, though? It desensitizes people and kids because they think that they can live life without consequences.
Without
consequences. I got 1,000 lives. I can do it over again. Oh. You know, you can shoot me dead. I can make this bad mistake and it's over, and I can just press.
It's not that big of a deal. And it's not that big of a deal.
And life will show you otherwise.
What?
Life will show. These landmines will blow your legs off, boy, and they'll cripple you, and they'll make you, boy, trying to walk again.
Listen,
and make it so good.
So, by the way, we both are barbers as well, right?
For sure.
So, I used to go to this detention center, right, once a month for a while, and cut these young men. Some of the conversations that I had with some of these young men was mind-blowing. What was mind-blowing wasn't even necessarily their crime. The crime was horrible, right? But what was mind-blowing was the disconnection as to what actually happened to them in their lives being affected for so many years right now. Right. They have no idea what happened to their life. They have no idea.
No idea.
This young man, 15, 16 years old, being tried as an adult, facing 15 plus years, 20 plus years. And his connection to, you know, what that is, what that entail is null and void. It's almost like he's thinking that he's going to be able to go to school next week.
Yeah.
He's going to be able to be back at home with his mom next week. That's the aura of it.
Yeah.
You know, not he's about to experience growing into adulthood in one of the most concentrated circumstances known to the human being right now.
Yeah. So you know what I see in that? Imagine being a young man with little to no structure, right, in your household. This is assuming the worst case scenario. Lack of resources, no fundamental culture that's being reinforced, so he doesn't have a foundation to stand on, a basis of identity, right? And you're trying to articulate or digest, or let me say, trying to process, internalize the severity of what you're going through, and you have no concept. I'm gonna tell you the equivalent. That's equivalent of trying to listen to a song on an AM station. You can kind of hear the song, but it's a lot of static because the frequency that you're on doesn't match the representation of the audio that you're trying to listen to. You get what I'm saying?
I got you.
So when we have been flooded with so many misinformation, so much information, so much foolishness. There's things that cloud our judgment, then we're eating the wrong foods, which is not allowing us to be able to emotionally regulate ourselves. We got all these hormones and chemicals in our processed foods that's throwing us. You know, there's a concerted effort here.
There's an agenda.
There's an agenda here.
There's an agenda, for sure.
That's unique to our community, the black, and is the direct base result of colonialism. So, you know, before we go any further, to acknowledge the elephant in the room, we're all fighting the effects of that. So, with that, when we internalize what that is, we have to set our agendas. And again, going back to the original word that I think has been consistent through is just the intentionality of it. You dig what I'm saying? The intentionality. Yeah, and there has to be a revival. I think that, but also, regardless of whatever we know and all this stuff, we have to give a fuck, man. We have to get back to a place that we care. We have to get back to a place that it matters to us where we're going. And we have to acknowledge that where we've been at and what we've been struggling to get through has not been conducive to us. So with that, man, we have to just be on a mission to fix the conditions, to give a damn, to care, and to make that happen and put that in place, man.
We got to close the gap between the man and his connection to the household or to the family itself in general, and all it entails. You know, your spouse, your children, you know, your siblings. Because one don't work without the other.
Yeah. And
we're taught how to just concentrate on this one thing, or concentrate with what we feel like is just the most important thing.
Yeah.
And we disregard the other factors or the other things that are connected to that very thing that strengthen it.
Yeah.
You know, for instance, like you were talking about gardening and something about roots. The thing about getting down to the roots, if you ever dig down deep enough, you will see that it's not a root.
That's right.
It's not a root.
Mm-hmm.
It's multiple roots. There's things in connection. The connectivity of these things is what make it strong. This is the thing that feed it.
Yeah.
This is the thing that allow it to grow.
Mm-hmm.
You know, allow it to last as
Right.
long as you can.
Yeah.
So that's the real intent of it. That if it's something that is unhealthy, that's not productive, then you get down to the root and you cut it.
That's right. Pruning. So check this out. I want to, if you don't mind, Edop, I want to piggyback off that, because I think that if we're really talking about being solution based, we got to get down to the nitty gritty. And I'm gonna tell you what we have to do as a community. We got to divorce all the bullshit.
Get out of it.
We got to divorce all everything that we've held together as a community that's contributed to our dysfunction. We have to divorce it. We have to get rid of things that do not serve us well, and that connectivity is one of them. We have to learn how to find value. We have been taught all our lives not to value each other. Man versus woman, woman versus man, woman don't need man, man. We have to historically get back to where peace and harmony exists. I lead with peace. I always peace. How you doing? Peace, whatever. You know, but the byproduct of peace is harmony. So when I have peace with my woman and the woman has peace with the black man, then we have harmony. And that's where our community is missing, is that connectability. So we have to revolutionize the way we think and process and how we see each other. And we have to take off these colonial glasses and the way we view each other. So what do you need from me?
Facts.
What do you need from me? Where have I not shown up for you? What does man look like for you? So we can have a discussion, because you're talking to a man. That's what a man look like. Well, let me tell you what a man is. And let me tell you how I internalize what your perspectives is. Until we get dirty enough to have these conversations, until we care enough to have that conversation, what do you expect from me as a man to validate that role?
Even in that, it runs so deep. That may be an area typically that you run across that a lot of women cannot project. They cannot even answer that.
Right.
Their answer would be, undeveloped. Because was it a man in her life?
Right.
To develop an expectation?
That's right.
Or was it developed by another woman, by an aunt, whatever the circumstances are? What would that be?
What was her soul condition?
Yeah, what was
she scorned? Was she,
There's so many challenges within that. The biggest part of what he's saying, though, is him just saying the conversation has to come up. We can't continue to live life like as if these conversations is not needed to be had. They have to be had at some point. We can't just keep going like they don't exist, or these topics or these issues isn't an issue, because that's why divorce is so high.
That's right.
Because of lack of proper fatherhood, believe it or not.
That's right.
You know.
That's right.
This is why. This is why so many broken families, broken households. This is why so many blended households. We don't even talk about that enough.
Yeah. And what kind of psychological trauma that presents, right?
So, again, that leads us out to, the next subject is some of these things people like to call them generational curses. That's the title that you hear now. That's the label that you hear now. Generational curses. I would like to identify them as generational cycles, though.
Right.
Right? I believe it's a cycle. It's not necessarily a curse. I think it's a cycle. It's something that we are actually going through. And the thing about a cycle, that you want to understand the cycle to, one, determine whether or not if this cycle is worth you being in it, or if you should be in it, or for you to decide that you don't want to be a part of that cycle.
That's right.
That's the great thing about cycles and systems. You get to identify the information within it. If it adds to your productivity, maybe something that you want to be a part of, something that you want to adopt, something that you want to continue. If it's not attached to your productivity, then it's something that you want to sever.
Right.
Something that you want to separate yourself from immediately, as quick as possible. And these are those cycles. Let's separate ourselves from the history of men not being fathers, proper fathers. How do we do that? By tapping into some of these issues and stuff that we have, having these conversations. When you hear certain men and some of the things that they're doing, some of the books that they read, some of the circles that they're around, create those circles, read those books, have these conversations, because it heightens your awareness. Yeah. When your awareness heightens, your ability to change heightens.
Absolutely.
When they got an old saying, when you know better, you do better.
That's right. Absolutely.
So that's what we got to do. We're trying to know more. We're trying to do more.
Like you say, generational curses. I'm even understanding that as being, I'm seeing it from a different perspective. So, generational curses implies that something is happening that you're subjugated to, that is not a result of your own doing, right? And it is somehow going to be imposed upon you because of your connectivity to the people that you're connected to. And the way I see generational curses is back to the fruit and root thing, right? They say black people have, they say that we are high risk for hypertension, high blood pressure, stuff like that, and that that we are prime victims of that, right? Or that we have a high potential. But I'm saying that generational curse is because you eat like your mama ate, and your mama ate like her grandmama ate.
True. And
so that now your high potential for hypertension is directly a result of the culture that's been embedded in your family.
True.
So the very way you eat is a culture that's been embedded, and now this isn't a generational curse. This is actually a direct result of bad information.
True.
So input is going to determine output. So for us, again, back to the thing that I've been saying is just revolution our minds, is to change the trajectory of the result of generational curses, right? Is that we have to put some different ingredients in the basket to get a different meal. right? We have to put our input is going to determine our output. So what we start taking in, what we're feeding ourselves, what are those early school lessons looking like? What the rite of passage look like for young boys to become men and young women to become, ladies? What does that mean, and how we create that social construct to change those generational curses? So I think the generational curse of changing that is how much we care, the why, what roots are we willing to get down to, and not just being acknowledgers of dysfunction, but finding the solutions of it and caring enough to get down to the bottom of those roots, right?
Absolutely.
And changing those life cycles, because if I change these particular elements of my life, my location is going to change my destination, my social friends, you know what I mean, my social circles, the sphere of influence of the people around me. So those factors we can kind of contribute to a change. So to the point, I think that changing those generational curses will be based upon what our foundations are. And I think that as we study life and we look back to where things went wrong in our communities as we deteriorated over time, and those elements of our family structures, the divorce rates, single parent home, blended families, these things are more prevalent because our foundations in which we stood on have been compromised over time on top of bad information, right?
Right,
so
right.
we've lost our way. We've lost our GPS on the map quest. You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. So I think I which I do agree. I definitely agree with that portion. And to add to that, I think that allows a person to take action now is his or her willingness for exposure to that type of information.
Mm-hmm.
You saying, hey, oh, what's that podcast? Or, hey, what you was talking about the other day?
Right.
When you said what you said? I heard you on the phone with your kids. What you tell them the other day?
Mm-hmm.
The exposure, because although the core of what we do or what we know is so rooted in us, so it's in such a core portion of us. In order to change that and even get back to the root, is that one, you have to be exposed to the information that make you dive deeper.
Right.
You gotta see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It's like riding down the street and you passing all these trees, and you want to understand about the tree. Well,
Right.
at some point you got to stop at the tree.
That's right. That's right.
Because
That's right.
the exposure of it allows you to then inquire naturally.
Yeah.
That's why we are in the situation that we are, because of the exposure to the things that we've been exposed to. The system has created a formula or a platform of circumstances that expose us to just that, and we develop our minds in just that portion.
Right.
That's the control.
Mm-hmm.
The very thing that you're talking about. So when you describe revolutionary your mind, that's you're saying you're fighting against what was already out there. You you're reorganizing all of the things that has been put in front of you and around you that make you think, act, or perform the way that you perform.
Right.
Right? But in order to take action now, is that you got to be willing to have this conversation. You have to bring up this conversation.
Right.
You have to, when you miss your son, when you miss your daughter, when you miss your kids, to actually bring it up. Hey, listen, man, I really miss my kids. You ever been like that before? You ever experienced that before? And if you did, what did you do about it? What are some of the things that you did? You have to be willing. You have to put yourself in a vulnerable state, in a sense, where you can receive the information. Because one thing about great positive communication or conversation leads to the next great positive conversation. So once you start it one time, the great part about the universe is that it's going to recreate the same circumstance for you again. And that's why some of our cycles have been the cycles that they are, because it's responding to exactly the output that we're doing, we're giving. You know what I'm saying? So we need the input. We need the input, the identification of what our issues is, have the conversation, find some information that then make us inquire more, and then seek the information, so then we can apply in small doses as much as we can, as much as we can intake.
That's right.
Once we begin to doing that, then change automatically happen.
Yeah.
That's all I once I identified that, that's all I do.
But I think that makes that unique for you, E. You know what I mean? And this is not no extra strokes, but Dick Tracy said it best. Dick Gregory, excuse me. Dick Gregory. He said that the universe gives special glasses to some people, right? And that speaks to your calling. When you talk about revolutionaries, when you talk about leaders, right? Every major movement that happened in our community in the history of our people wasn't because a bunch of people got in agreement and got together. There was an inspired remnant. There was a select few who seen a vision, who seen an issue that needed to be addressed and raised it and awakened the minds of those around them. That's always been historical consistent. See, the thing about it as a community, we're waiting for everybody to get on board. Everybody's not going to get on board because the system that is assaulting the minds of our people has worked.
Right.
So people are asleep. They don't even know how bad the conditions are. So again, to awaken the revolution of the mind to care again has to be divine. And some people have that calling, E. Right? To create a platform, say there's an issue in our community, we have to create a forum. Let me say something else is missing. Is that we, especially leaders who have the experience, who have the tools in your toolbox, right? Another principle that we have to lean on is that we have to be willing to listen to the conditions of the people. Because if not, if you're only talking and you're not listening, what you're going to find yourself doing is trying to diagnose heartburn and taking athlete's foot medicine. You're doing two different things. So as much as we know, we have
remedy in the situation.
Man, we got to be able to hear, because the people, especially to the call, and I'm talking to those special ones, to the call, the people will tell you where they are. Because there's an assignment on your life for you to know the condition. There's a scripture that says, shepherds know well the condition of thy flock. Right? So we have to hear what the people are saying. We have to be present enough to hear what they're saying, to offer the guidance and the wisdom that they need. Right? But that's being connected to the calling. That's being connected to the calling. That's also doing your due diligence to have the tools in your toolbox to learn the lessons that you had to learn, to observe from other people's lives, and to study history and to understand what your purpose is. And we won't get to second base until we get on first base. That's for sure.
That's a fact. That's a fact. So I can't lie. I love the information that's being provided in this session. You know what I'm saying? I think that it really touched a lot of different points. One of the main points that I'm a highlight that I like is being connected to your why. Being connected to your why. You know, because this segment is truly about fatherhood. Why do you want to be a father so bad? I mean, so good. Why do you want to be a good father so bad? What is that connection? What is your connection to why? Why you want your children to have tools that you didn't have?
Right.
Why do you want your children to be exposed to the information that allows them to grow, you know, very, very productive and to accomplish things that you couldn't accomplish or hadn't accomplished yet?
Yeah.
Why? What is your connection to the well-being of your children? What is that connection?
I evolved. I evolved and grew in the understanding of the importance of my assignment as a father. I grew and evolved. The importance of that. Observing the lack of presence of fathers in other people's lives and seeing the effect on that. They had to take some growing up for me. My first, you know, my first child, I was 18 years old. You know, 3 years removed after losing my real father. You know, my biological father, I was a father. And my understanding of parenting at an 18-year-old and having my last child at 40.
Yeah.
Right? My understanding of that role is a lot more polished now than then.
From 18
right?
to 40, absolutely.
So I think it's also important is the reemergence of the passion of being a father, right? The idea of being a father, a lot of times, even in conversation, is implied as being a burden. It's implied as being something that I gotta do. But the passion and the reemergence of that and the awakening of the passion of the importance and assignment of being a father and understanding that the development of the children, how that is impacted by the presence and the effectiveness of a present father, that awakening for me and that revolutionizing my understanding of it, it created another importance and it made the mission that more important. So there is no mission without a vision. So for me visualizing where I wanted my kids to be and what impact I wanted to be and what I wanted my kids, when I'm not around, I wanted my kids to be able to walk away with a certain pride and an honor of knowing that CJ's my daddy. Right? So I wanted that effect in my kid's life and I had to earn it. So me knowing the importance of it, because my father was my hero, I knew what it was to feel like I have a hero, right? And how important that was to development to me and all my man parts, right? I didn't have to figure out how to be brave. I had a big bad wolf in my father right behind me told me that I could be brave in the world. You know what I'm saying? Son, you can roar. Let your lion out. That was developed in me because I had somebody tending to that, right? Versus a lot of my peers who did not have fathers, and they had to learn that on the fly. So at a young age, there was a lot of elements that I was 5 and 6 steps ahead of my peers just because I had a present father in my life. So that example for me, and me being a father, has impressed an even more importance in that assignment because I know the value in that. I know the value in being a father. I know the value in having a quality mother. And the harmony of both produces a endless opportunity for greatness for our kids. And for me, I think that it's important for us to get back into that. For us in our hearts as men, is that we restore the passion of fatherhood. Restore that it really, really matters. And then it'll give us the fuel that it takes to wear this crown, because it get heavy.
Oh, whoa.
This ain't an easy thing. This is not an easy thing.
Yeah.
So to understand that you walking in an assignment that you was probably not as prepared for, you don't have a blueprint book 101 on how to do this. So a lot of even being a father, being a spouse, being all the areas that we have to represent as a man, we're learning on the fly. So as we awaken in our older, more seasoned selves, we have to make that path a little bit more feasible for our kids, so they don't have to learn it on the fly. They don't have to go through all the bad things that we had to go through to learn the element of manhood that we know now. So when we tap into that school of thought, then we have better tools to guide our young men and women up into the age that we need to be. You know what I'm saying?
I love it. I love it. Let's restore the passion of being a father.
Passion, yeah.
That's what we ended on that right there. Let's restore the passion of being a father.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of The Jones Effect. Super big thanks to my homeboy. That's my homeboy.
Sure.
The Jizzle. That's what we call him, the Jizzle.
Sure.
Hey man, I appreciate you for real, man. It takes a lot to come to a circumstance where you feel like there's a need for something, and you are willing to take the step to say, hey, it's a need for this.
Absolutely.
It also takes something where someone is to see that there's a need, like-minded in understanding the need, and say, hey, it's right. We need to say something. We need to do
That's
something.
right.
We need to start something. So, to be that like mind, that's right here. That we see a lot of things very similar over the years that we've known each other. So to be able to say, hey, E, what's up? Let's do this. Let's talk about this. Let's go ahead and expose this. It's about time we did this.
Right.
We need to do this. I just want to say I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And I'm proud of what you've accomplished thus far. The trials and tribulations that you came from, the willingness to provide and be the father that you are, to identify some of the problems, some of the issues that you had that prevented you from being the type of father that you wanted to, and then had the ability and the audacity to then inform yourself and apply the information that you had gathered.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So I want to tell you, good job, and I am proud of you. A lot of that, I don't think, be authentic enough amongst men.
Yeah.
You said a powerful thing, and I'm not going to kick it back off, but it's almost like a desire for us to hate each other and be against each other,
Yeah.
especially black man and black man.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? I want the absolute best for
Yeah.
you.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
No doubt
I
about
want you to accomplish absolutely everything that I know you
Yeah.
have in store.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
So I just want to tell you, hey man, thank you for taking the time out, coming over here. If you have any last remarks, we'll take them. We're going to go ahead and shut it down.
Hey man, it's an honor. I wanted to say how internally grateful I am to have an opportunity to be on your platform. I think that what you're doing is absolutely monumental. Please, y'all stay tapped into the Jones Effect. We're looking for solutions, man. And
Sure.
God is raising up men like E in this time to be a prophet and a voice to our people. And we need to be attuned, tapped in, and be willing to hear some information that's going to change our direction. And I think that we just need to create the conversation. You guys have solutions. We have solutions. We see the problems. This is where we come together as a family and create these forums. And this is a direct result of a man on a mission. So you've seen the problems that we had in this community, and you figure that this is an opportunity for the world to have a platform to your inspiration, your vision, to give us conversation that we don't have place to have. So I want to say, y'all stay tapped in, subscribe, stay tuned in. Let's grow. And
Sure.
we're gonna see where this show going, man. God got some big things for this, so we're excited, bro.
Sure.
For sure.
And I'm going
for
to
sure.
stay tapped in.
Word,
I
man.
promise you that. I say yes to the call.
Absolutely, huh?
I never said that. I say yes to the call.
Big salute.
I say yes,
Sure.
I will, and I am committed. I'm truly committed. This is very, very important to me because lack of the things that I wish I had, and because of the amount of kids I have, everybody know I got a whole lot of kids.
Come on.
I really want my kids to have the right tools, man. I really do.
Absolutely.
So if this conversation spoke to you, share it with another dad, another brother,
Yeah.
a friend who needs to hear it. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to follow. Don't forget to just lock in with us.
Yeah, man.
And whenever you get an opportunity, please, please, please leave a review. Any kind of conversation. Again, you can see us on TikTok at the Jones Effect Podcast.
That's right.
You can see us on Facebook at the Jones Effect Podcast. You can see us on YouTube, Jones Effect Podcast. You can also see us on Instagram, the Jones Effect Podcast. Once again, this your boy, Erick Jones. I'll holler.